Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Galactic Ambition, a Star Wars Unlimited podcast, part of the Maindeck podcast family. I'm Dan.
And I'm Jason, and it's hot out.
It's cold out, actually.
It's really hot out. We just talked about this before we got on.
Out.
It's like one of the hottest days on record in Florida in February. And I just can't take it anymore.
I'm sorry. I am actually thinking about how tired I am of the negative 20 degree weather that we've had here and how badly I wanted to just warm up a little bit. So it's really funny how exactly opposite we are in every way, Jason.
In every way. We're basically the odd couple of this space.
The odd couple of Star Wars Unlimited podcasting. I think that's what everybody calls us.
I'm pretty sure that's among the things they say.
That's one of the things. The other is, you mean that podcast that ended?
Yeah, the one. Yeah, they went on a grand adventure and never came back.
We're back. Hey, look at that. We're back, and that's really exciting because we haven't done 2 consecutive episodes, and I think the history of the show.
Yeah, I think about a year and 20 years, somewhere in there.
But we're back, and today we're going to talk about something we actually were debating about what our subject should be. Obviously, it's going to be related to Jump to Lightspeed because I have been glued to my monitor watching spoilers come in for everything here. Mm-hmm. And we decided, just like we had an episode in set 1 about bases, we're going to repeat that because these bases, I think the last bases in set 3 were like, okay, they weren't that interesting to talk about, though. It's like, oh, your guy gets +1. We did, I think, talk about them a little bit.
But we didn't nearly, not like how we're going to talk about them today.
No. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 new bases coming out in Jump to Lightspeed, because each of these has basically an adjustment to either your deck size or your opening hand. And there's so much math to talk about. There's so many implications. The implications of these there are vast and deep. And
I know as trading card game aficionados, math is not anyone's strong point. So Dan thankfully had computers do it all for us.
Yeah. Math and reading, not our strong suits.
Two really difficult things for us as players. But we're really excited to talk about kind of the applications of these bases in general and like the ramifications of these bases. First of all, I think it's a really cool, and not in my wildest dream did I think they were going to approach bases like this. So it's really, really cool.
Like, I mean, I'd like maybe someday, right? But like kicking off set 4 with this to me is it's a pretty cool sign for like, we're going to, these can do a lot of stuff, these bases in this game. Yeah. Jason, do we have any other news to talk about?
Let's see, news. We got a little news. Not that I could immediately think of. You did your L1 already? We talked about that. Yeah,
we talked about judge testing last week, but I think since then the major announcements have been the Galactic Championship tickets.
Oh yeah, our ticket adventures. That was fun.
Oh, I meant to check on that too, but so. Can you still get VIP?
Absolutely not. No, it's done.
Oh, okay. It did finally end.
It did, yeah. Which was shocking. It wasn't like 5 minutes into the event going up, but it also didn't go up right on time either. It went up at like 3 minutes late, and I think that kind of messed everybody up.
There was some picnicking that was happening. I was just like kind of vibing and joking around in chat a little bit on the general Star Wars Unlimited Discord. Yeah. It was interesting. It was like, I'm used to other card game companies, specifically I'm most used to Grand Archive, where they do everything through Eventbrite. Mm-hmm. And I know some people have said they haven't had good experiences, but like for me, it always just is like, sometimes I'm sad that I don't get the VIP because in that game, it sells out in seconds.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the amount of stuff you get in that game is insane. So the value.
We can talk about that. We talk about that a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
But in this case, the VIP did not sell it right away. So for Galactic Championship, I have to try not to say our podcast title every time. For the Galactic Championship, there were several levels of tickets. There was general admission, there was the premium ticket, and then there was the very important person ticket. Which I had to get because that is how That is how I don't cry myself to sleep every night. I
Yeah,
need somebody to tell me I am very important.
you need to feel real somehow, and that
It's
helps.
yeah, it's the only thing keeping me
Yeah,
going at this point.
I got general admission and coming because as I may have talked about before, I fold like a napkin when it comes to large scale events. I can't do 8 9 rounds of a large scale event. My brain will fall outside my ears. But I got
Yeah.
general, so I could go do some side events and just hang out. And basically, I have a bunch of friends I'll be able to see and everybody in the community. So just gonna go enjoy the vibes, do some side events, hang out, have a great time and leave the whole wanting to be a world champion to somebody else. It's not going to be me.
Yeah.
Just throwing it
Yeah.
out there now, guys. Sorry, disappoint everybody, but can't be me this time.
Yeah. I would say it's unlikely to be me also if I don't have anything else to be doing that day, depending on, Jason and I are going to try to potentially do judging or something. Depending on
Yeah. I want to be involved.
That's going to be a very competitive pool. Casting's competitive, judging's competitive. So have no particular expectations, right?
Absolutely.
For getting any of that. So if none of that happens, I'm going to be tryharding in the main event a little bit. I can handle a few rounds of card games, but if it doesn't go well, I'll be joining Jason in the grind for prize wall points
Oh
because
yeah,
the showcase Luke and Vader,
I need those very
I
badly.
need them.
Yeah,
I'm fiending a little bit for
I had a
those.
buddy who was like, "You're not going to enter the main event." I was like, "No, do you see the prize wall?" Like,
Yeah,
no,
like
I got work to do.
find the most efficient point
Oh
gain
yeah,
and grind it.
there's going to be some sweaty person who's got it all mapped out for me, and I thank them ahead of time.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like a ton of fun. Galactic
Absolutely.
Championship. I'm really so let's do some like we like to do here, Jason, some like props and slops, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
So the props, the whole setup, the whole weekend sounds incredible. If you are a Star Wars Unlimited player and you're not making time to go to this, if you're able to, you should. You gotta
Yeah.
sit down and be like, hey, you know what, boss, can I get these days off? Actually, I know it's our busy season, but it's really important because I think it's going to be this whole setup of they're setting up things like panels with lots of different people and devs and content creators and stuff throughout the weekend, to kind of make it a more full experience. It's not just going and grinding out the game, but it's like all that stuff and the side events and the prize wall prizes and everything. It just looks like it's like you're gonna want to be there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think I love the setup. I'm very pleased with it. It's got a really cool location. Vegas is always having done several card game events there for several different card games. It's always a fun location to go to. It's a weekend of debauchery, which is
Not
a good
me.
not you. Do you hate it?
No, I'm just not into debauchery.
Oh no, I don't
I'm
partake in the debauchery.
I am just, what you
I'm a
see is what you
debauchery.
get here.
Yeah, you get
What's on
yeah.
the tin is what you get.
I'm a debauchery observer.
Yeah. I like the people watching part of that.
Or I like to instigate it a little bit, right? But not me doing it.
Stirring the
I want
pot
to
is
watch
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, it should be a fun time. We've got a few folks from the local area here who are already planning. Actually, I think I already booked my flight for it, so I'm all good. I'm locked in.
I am booked too, regardless.
Excellent.
Got that done the same day.
And then, like we said, the prize wall stuff, incredible. I think that they're doing a really good job with the Galactic prize wall. Sectors and regionals also have prize walls. They're okay. I think we're waiting right now for them to like run through their season 1 promo style.
Yeah.
Because
I think they're still petering that stuff out. I think the stuff was already all in the can and here it comes. Yeah.
Yep. Nothing you can do about that. It's like, okay, these are they got the Akbar promos. I think it's at Sectors or something, and a bunch of other
that's sweet
stuff. Yeah. It's great art. It's just, it's got the weird border that none of us are a huge fan of.
Yeah.
But I think we've seen from some of the other promos, like the judge promos, they did and everything. They have started doing other cooler promos.
Absolutely.
So, looking forward to season 1 to see what their promos and prize wall and stuff look like there. But as we mentioned, the Vader and Luke showcase at Galactic Championship is Those look great. Those are
Oh my
fantastic.
God, they're gorgeous. Yeah.
Um, and then, I mean, I guess like the other prop is that I think the best bang for your buck ticket is premium. Personally, I think this extra stuff you get at premium, I should have had it in front of me, I suppose, but let me pull that up here. The extra stuff you get at premium, though, I feel like will actually it'll feel like it's worth it to acquire. Like it'll feel like it's worth the money to get it.
Hmm.
General admission is general admission, and you know it's fine. It gets you in, and it gets you the very basics. Um, yeah, you're right. They are out of VIP. I
Oh
see
yeah.
now.
No, I was making it
Um,
up.
well, I thought maybe you just guessed. I don't know.
Oh no, maybe I was guessing. Yeah, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Why not? It's
Yeah,
what we like
sure.
to do here.
Yeah, we don't fact
Um,
check.
yeah, so you get general admission. You get in to the event, access to all the panels and everything. 3 booster packs of the latest set, which will be like set. Will it be set 5 at that point? I didn't even think about that. 3, 4,
5. Should be 5, right? Because this is
April, May,
July.
June, July. Yeah, yeah, that should be set 5 at that point.
Yeah.
Then,
We're probably in spoiler season for 6 at that point. We're really close to it.
I don't know. Maybe we'll be in there at that point. And then you
Yeah.
get the foil promo of the Mandalorian, which I think we all assume is the set 2 legendary, but I think it technically could be the set 4 pilot as well.
Yeah, yeah, we don't know. It's the Mandalorian,
Um,
sure.
so that's general admission. Premium ticket though. So that general admission is $50 USD. Premium is 130. So you're paying 80 more dollars. But what you're getting out of that is $50 worth of side events. So for like Jason, if you're planning to go to this and play side events, that's already 50 of your ticket
Mhm.
price. Then that additional $30, you're getting a Galactic Championship pin, a pack of Galactic Championship exclusive art sleeves. I think those are going to go for a little bit. I think those are going to be pretty decent. Galactic Championship exclusive game mat and Medal Initiative token and
Ooh.
Galactic Championship tote bag. So for $30, if you count the 50 inside events as, you know, you were gonna spend that anyway
Right.
for some reason, then for $30 getting all that stuff is like actually I think a pretty good deal, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. It's a really good deal. I couldn't swing it right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. We're gonna get you a ton of money and then you get one later anyway.
Oh,
So
sweet.
don't worry.
Everybody get me a ton of money. Very good.
Yeah, send Jason your
Oh.
money. There's a link to the GoFundMe.
Yeah, clear.
No, not doing that. Sorry. But if you join the main deck Patreon at a high tier, then maybe we can get some money to Jason. I don't know. Okay, but the VIP package. So this is what I want to talk about. So my props were the premium was awesome. The VIP, even though I bought it, I went on about like in the first seconds, I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna get VIP because I'm dumb because I like to have access to the VIP stuff. Okay, look, this is like stupid. Okay, this is not a way that people should act. I'm not acting correctly when I do this, but I feel bad when I don't have access to that like VIP lounge at like a Grand Archive tournament or whatever. I was like, I just gotta have it. So I paid $500 for this thing.
Cool.
Which what the extra stuff you get is access to the VIP lounge. Who knows how good that'll be? It has definitely been variable at Grand Archive tournaments, depending on the location and who's running the event. But we'll see. Early entry for 1 hour, letting you get a lay of the land before the attendees. So I imagine all the VIPs walk in and they put their hand to their forehead.
Or
like,
maybe
like,
a set of binoculars.
wow. Yeah. Oh, electro binoculars.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You see like banthas and you're like, wow, cool. So whatever that's worth. VIP line access for event entry and swag bag pickup.
I'm a
honestly,
sucker for that kind of stuff.
That's kind of nice. It is really nice. The line's probably going to be exceptionally long at this event, right? Because FFG is expecting a turnout of about 2,000 players. I think the numbers they've said. I don't want to be standing in that line. So that's okay. Early access to shopping, including vendors and Galactic Championship merch. So you can spend more before everyone else, I guess. At Grand Archive events, the merch is usually pretty hot, and sometimes it sells out totally. So like that is a nice thing to have too, if it's good. Exclusive. This is the part everyone memes about. Exclusive meet and greet breakfast with the Fantasy Flight Games team on Saturday at 8 a.m. And everyone's like, you pay $500 to have eggs at the hotel with the Fantasy Flight devs. Like, I don't know. That sounds pretty cool to me, actually. That sounds like a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be happy to be there with the other VIPs. Jason, what's your take on that one? Is that like meme worthy, or is that like
no? I don't.
cool?
I think it's fine, but we also have a bit of experience with these kind of things from different games and seen what they've done. So we're comparing apples to apples in these situations, and it's not close on the site level, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah.
You're talking about the ticket as a whole, though,
Correct,
right?
correct. I'm talking
not
about
not a breakfast. Like I haven't been to too many other breakfasts with the devs.
No, breakfast is sweet. First of all, it's my favorite meal of the day, and I guess with the VIP, it's like, first off, if it's breakfast with the devs, is how many people are going to be in there as VIPs? Okay, there's only so many developers to, it's like, what's the ratio of people? Will it be meaningful conversation, or you're just gonna, you know what I mean? I guess you have to think about that. I like the idea of it, and I think it should be pretty cool. Like, I don't know, in all the conversations I've had each time with the devs in passing or at events, it's always been sweet to get insight or anything like that. So I think if that is your goal, hope people sleep in, so you get all that time yourself.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, that was the thing that was alarming me. It was how long it was taking the VIPs to sell out.
Yeah.
Again, I'm used to it selling out in seconds for the bigger Grand Archive events. So
there was like a rumor that they didn't put a cap on it. That's what it took so long for it to sell out.
But I don't believe that.
I don't believe it. Well, yeah, no, I don't believe. But it started like, well, I don't think there's a cap on that, because why wouldn't have it sold out instantly?
Yeah. Other than that stuff, though, you get $100 worth of side event tickets, so $50 more. Galactic Championship exclusive lanyard, which is it's only at VIP, which is pretty funny, but there you go. And then here's some of the stuff that like has actual like resale value or whatever, if that's what you're looking at this for, which is 4 plastic base cards, which that's kind of neat. Like, I think that's kind of cool. Depends on what they look like, depends on the base choice, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. And then 1 Galactic Championship exclusive Gamegenic deck pod. And really, I'm waiting to see like what that's like. My assumption is it's going to be like a black deck pod that has the Galactic Championship logo on it.
Yeah.
Right. But we'll see. Maybe they'll be able to do something kind of surprisingly cool with that, and it'll like blow people's minds. But that's everything, plus all the other stuff you get in premium that you get with this one. And Jason, like you were saying earlier, I don't think ultimately this is a bad purchase.
No,
but
not at all.
What you're getting from this is really weighted on experiential items. So it's that like the VIP lounge, the early access, the dev breakfast and stuff. Whereas we definitely see in other games, when you get that super mega VIP ticket or whatever, they're usually showering you in some, or at least giving you like one big premium, like, yeah, you get this card.
This card
was actually used by the designer of the game to clean his rear end after going to the bathroom or something.
That's extreme.
And okay, fine. You don't get that, but you get something that's like a rarity, an item that's like, oh yeah, you can flip this for the whole cost of the VIP. And because of that, they sell out immediately, but arguably to people who are maybe not looking for the same thing out of it. I guess if like to spin this in a positive way, the people who bought VIP here are pretty much doing it to go hang out with the devs at breakfast and to have that early entry because they're really excited to go to the merch store at the Champs or whatever. And it's less about people just getting it so they can go, oh yeah, let me make sure I just can flip this back for money or something. Which is, I think there's some benefit to that. Jason, what are your overall thoughts on that?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think most of the people who got VIP probably just got it for kind of like how you got it. They just wanted to be the VIP, they want to be special. They want to be that. And it comes, like I said, the perks are great and everything else. Hopefully this deck pod is super sweet. I'm excited. I kind of had the idea that maybe they date it like with the dates of the event in the year. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
get me snow globes with all that stuff in it. I should put a bunch of snow globes with like stuff like that on my dresser. But like stuff like that. Yeah, well, let's go. I'm getting old. Stuff like that is really cool. Commemorative things. If you were looking at this in a monetary scheme of like reselling, I don't see that. Yeah. I typically don't do that when I get my event tickets for things like that. I could see why people do it because that is a large chunk of change. So if you do look at it from that standpoint, it does seem on the onset it could be a little disappointing. You're not like you're likely not recouping your costs unless who knows.
Maybe the deck pod. People want to pay $500 for that deck pod.
And if they do,
it's the coolest thing in the world.
Or the lanyard.
It's got a picture of Han Solo with his shirt off in his prime.
It's got the picture of the Han face on it.
Oh, from our spoiler card from your all clear kid?
Yeah.
You open the pod up and it's inside. It's just a magnified Han face. Mike, I would be so unbelievably stoked about that. I think that would be the greatest thing.
Huge buyer's remorse if I didn't get that. So.
Like, Dan, I'll pay you anything for your Han face deck.
I need it. But no, I think it's cool. I think if you got it, you shouldn't feel fleeced or ashamed or disappointed or anything. Again, we're speaking from anecdotal experience from things and games we've participated in that offer these kind of tickets. So it'll be interesting to see where that equates to that at the end of it all. But I'm excited that you can get in there and check it all out before I can.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know what my electro binoculars.
But don't send you can't send any pictures of that, right? Like that would be like huge no.
I'm going to send pictures.
They're going to revoke your VIP status. They're going to revoke. That's
no,
it.
they won't.
They're going to rip that tag right off your chest.
I'm too important. They can't.
They're going to rip it right off.
No, they told me I'm okay.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So Galactic's going to be fun. Jason and I are still working out what other stuff we can be attending. Mm-hmm. I think I can say that I will be at SCG-Con in Minneapolis, which I'm really looking forward to.
Yep.
You're going to be in Richmond, right?
No, I thought I said Minneapolis.
Oh, you're going to Minneapolis?
I am going to Minneapolis. I'm trying to figure out where I'm staying right now. That's where I'm going.
Oh, well, let's talk about that afterwards. Okay, I got you covered. I'm
cool.
sure we got you covered.
Perfect.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm going there. Richmond, I'm like 75% on. So here's something fun about this whole process. So Dan and I are going to be judging stuff. I submit my application.
Yeah.
And I get my applications back, and it's like, you were selected to judge Lorcana.
Disney Lorcana.
Disney Lorcana. And I was like, well, is there still room to judge Star Wars? And they're like, not this time. And I'm like, all right. So I am ready to go.
All right. Cool. Jason is going to be spearheading the next podcast to join the Maindeck family of podcasts, which is going to be our Lorcana podcast.
I'm sure people would love that.
Actually, people would be really excited about that.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's not
happening.
Insane.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it would everybody.
That is something that we could do at some point, but Jason's been getting more and more into Lorcana recently.
Yeah, actually. If you go back at the time to some of Maindeck's older content, especially when we played it at Gen Con, Dan and I basically dug that game into the dirt, and I have a very different opinion on it.
Yeah.
Now, but I'm still excited to go, and I'm sure I'll see all the Star Wars guys, but hopefully for the next few, I'll be able to get flex some of my L1 experience.
Yeah. Because you're looking like you enjoy Lorcana. I'm not a huge Lorcana fan.
Yeah,
but you enjoy it.
I really like it. Yeah,
but you would much rather
absolutely. I would feel a lot more comfortable too.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, we'll be going to those events, and then we're still figuring out planetary qualifier, regional stuff like that. Because but both Dan and I work in the LGS space, and there's a lot going on this year. So it gets really hard to keep saying like, hey. For Dan's got Grand Archive stuff. For me, I have Final Fantasy trading card. We're about to go into our organized play season, and there's a lot going on. So we're going to make it to as much stuff as we can, so we can get out there, see everybody, participate, and help grow the community in the way we can. Which I feel strongly would be being a part of staff and judging. I feel like I could make a positive impact.
Yeah. Yep. Totally on the same page. We'll see you guys at whatever events we can get to.
Yep.
If we're not at an event, it's not because we stopped the podcast or we hate the game. It's literally just for one of us or the other. we just got a little too
you
busy.
can at Maindeck Games and call him out for not being at any event that you go to. He's not at on X. On X. Or he's also on the other one.
Blue Sky.
He's on Blue Sky.
Yeah, we're trying to push Blue Sky these days.
I'm on there too. I keep forgetting I'm on there.
Yeah. It's tough to get used to it, but it's been actually interesting. What I've been trying to do on Blue Sky is actually post exclusive content over there that I think is like kind of cool. So I did some like teasers for some pieces of art that we've been commissioning this year that you could only see.
That's where you could check out the Lorcana content podcast.
That's the main deck trove of Lorcana content is actually on Blue Sky.
Yeah, we will see you at events leading up to Worlds. We're really excited to get that planned out, plotted out, and figured out. So it's really exciting.
Yes. And speaking of following us on platforms, before we move on to our main topic, if there is any other ways you'd like to support us, you're like, man, you guys are so fun to listen to. I love your insight on whether or not I should spend $500 to have scrambled eggs with Danny Schaefer, then you can always support us in a couple of different ways. You can leave a like down in the video, comment down in the video below. Let us know how you would have your eggs done if you were at the Dev Breakfast. Over easy, sunny side up, over hard, like an absolute savage. You're going to do that.
Do you think you're going to be able to even choose?
No, it's probably just, I don't know. Because Jason, you know, because you're really salty about that. When I got invited to the thing with the content creators, I'm sorry. You'll get it the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
When I got invited to that, they treated us to some pretty nice meals. So
sweet.
I'm kind of hoping the VIP thing is actually, oh yeah, you guys meet us here, and there's like a big, like, cool breakfast or something, and not just like, I don't think it's just gonna be a continental breakfast.
We keep harping on it, but it's gonna be sweet.
I think it's gonna be awesome. Anyway, but if you get to order your eggs, let us know what your egg order would be down in the comments below with no other context. So anyone scrolling down who didn't listen to the whole podcast is like, why is everyone talking about eggs? I would love that. That would make me laugh a ton. Otherwise, if you're listening to us on a podcast platform, leave a 5-star review with your preferred egg order. Actually, that you guys would absolutely make my life if I just like look at we get a 5-star review on iTunes and it's just like over easy with a side of toast. Nice. I'd like an omelet, Denver style. Yeah, that's all good. And then if you want to support us monetarily, here's a couple of things you should know about. Number one, tcgplayer.com. We have an affiliate link for that. Link is down in the description below, or you can go to bit.ly/shoptcgs. Buy your singles for sets like Jump to Lightspeed or anything before this, whatever, on there, and we get a little kickback. You don't pay anything extra. It's pretty cool. Really appreciate that. And additionally, if you're looking for product right now, we still have Jump to Lightspeed pre-orders up on jwwcards.com. Link is down in the description for that as well. Discount code Maindeck for 5% off. Our deals are pretty good, and that makes them even better. And you're supporting our LGS directly, and thus you're supporting me directly. And any kind of cool bonus check I might get sometime this year. So I'd really like that if you guys did that too.
That would be sweet.
That's all really good. Yeah. It's cool. Our LGS owner is awesome. So definitely you're supporting a great store with caring and passionate dudes. And
the guy who ships stuff is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's me. I'll ship your order to you.
He will ship your order, sealed with a kiss. All right, here we go.
Okay.
So, all right.
Anyway. So, thank you for all your support.
Yes,
I always say that.
Thank you.
Okay, Jason. Bases, 4 bases, about 30 minutes.
All right.
Let's get into this thing.
All right. I want to take you to first base. So,
how long were you holding on to that one?
That was a good one. The first base I want to talk about is Nabat Village.
Okay,
mainly because it's the one that mystifies me the most.
Yes.
It's the hardest base that I think to play of the 4. Without getting into too many details, we'll talk about this in a minute. It's 27 hit point base in Cunning. Draw 3 more cards in your starting hand, and you can't take a mulligan. When the first action phase starts, put 3 cards from your hand on the top, on the bottom of your deck in any order. Dan, what the hell is this thing?
Okay, so this base was actually revealed after I did all the other math. So right now I'm literally just like punching things in to try and at least get the same math number that I can get here. So I'm pulling it up now. So what this is a base where you're basically giving up your mulligan in order to get a bigger opener, but then you don't get to keep all of those cards, right? But it's saying in other card games, so games like Magic the Gathering in the past, people have experimented with alternate mulligan systems. One very, very popular one was, I believe this one was this called the Partial Paris? Or am I mixing them up? No. Sorry, Partial Paris is the one where you first is free and then okay, that's the regular one. I can't remember the name of the mulligan that everybody started using for a little while and then gave up because it was way too powerful at finding everything they needed. And that mulligan was effectively this card. Okay, so the mulligan in that game was you drew to 10.
Oh yeah,
and then you put 3 on the bottom, right? Which is exactly what this is. Whereas this is a non-Paris, just free mulligan system is the regular system in the game. And the reason this is so strong compared to taking a mulligan is that by drawing 10 cards deep, you are how do you explain this? You're going deeper into your possible set of cards without putting any of them back in.
Right.
If that makes sense. So normally when you mulligan, you see 6, then you put them back and you see 6. And Jason, you know how many times you've looked at those 6 and been like, great, that's 4 of the exact same
These
card.
Look and just like the ones I put in there.
Right. And so when you draw 10 and put 3 back, in this case, 9 and put 3 back.
Right.
But 9 and put 3 back, you are seeing some of the same cards, but you're guaranteed seeing at least 3 more cards that were not in that opener, unless you draw duplicates, right? And that's a pretty powerful dig, actually. That's a strong way to make sure that if there's a particular set of cards you need to open with, so like a lot of decks will be like, well, I just want to make sure I open a turn 1 play, a turn 2 play or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. But if you're like, I really want to start with a Palpatine and a Palpatine's Return and then a way to discard them or something, or discard one of them, that's where I think you usually just want to see more cards at the start so that you can get the set of cards together more often rather than hoping you get one of the 3 pieces each time. Jason, does that jive with your experience at all?
I think that makes the kind of exactly how I think it. Again, digging more and seeing more without shipping some back, it's going to open up more card choices. Again, as long as you don't hit duplicates, which if you do, I mean, that's a game, right? We're trying to play in builds of consistency. And then shipping 3 back is fine because you're going to try to sculpt the best 6 cards you can out of that versus shipping it all back and possibly getting something exceptionally worse, if not the same. I think it helps people like myself who never know when to take a mulligan. I'd be like, I have my 1 drop. And then I'm like, oh, I also didn't see a 2 or 3, or I didn't keep a good mulligan to my curve. So digging deeper is for someone like me. It probably helps that decision paralysis of when to take a proper mulligan. I think that it's going to have a lot of play with any sort of combo-centric deck is going to want to see as many cards as they can to try to maybe carve out early pieces or make sure they have key pieces of their combos. And I think this really is a good enabler for things like that. Where I get kind of hung up on is when I'm going to use it over another base proper outside of those applications, over the other different bases. This is the one where, like I said, at the onset, this is the one I've struggled with the most out of the bases. With the other ones, I could kind of tell when I would clearly use this base versus when I wouldn't want this base. This is one where I'm kind of just struggling to reconcile that. And I think it's because it's just really powerful.
I think also the Dig 9 is deceptively it's a deceptive increase on the probability of actually seeing what you expect to see. Whereas by that, I mean, I think people are going to look at that and say, I'm seeing 9 cards instead of 12. Thus right. You know, like I get that it's probably good, but it feels right away like that's not, if that's an increase on your odds, it's not appreciable. So what I'm going to introduce that's going to frame a lot of our discussion here is I want to make it clear, first of all, that there are a lot of metrics that you should be looking at these bases from, and not just this one numerical metric I'm going to use to compare all the bases. That said, this numerical metric is something that everybody's going to be thinking about when they are deciding if they want to choose this base or not. And it is thus it's an important piece of the puzzle. So the metric by which I'm trying to at least just provide some sort of quantitative backing to our discussion here is your probability of drawing what we're just going to call the one card you want to make sure you see in your opener every game. So it's the card where you put 3 of it in your deck because you definitely want to see it every game. And it may be like an ideal 2-drop, maybe like a Sabine or A-Wing or something. It's whichever one you decided was the best card to get in your opener. And we're just going to look at every base by and talk about the percentage change to your ability to draw that card in your opener by using that base. So let's start at a baseline. If you just run a 50 card, regular old 30 health base, Dagobah Swamp, Echo Base, Command Center, whatever one you want to use. Okay. Your probability of drawing any single card that you have a 3 of in your deck in your 6-card opening hand. And this is where it's complicated because I haven't run, this is a no mulligan math on the other ones. And then with this base, we specifically don't have a mulligan where you actually have a mulligan on the other ones. So this is not at all the full picture. The other bases have 2 shots at this percentage, which is going to increase the odds for the other numbers, which is going to make this base look better in comparison. But your odds of getting the single card you're looking for in a 9-card opener with no mulligans is 45%, 45.6%. When your odds of seeing it on a 50-card base, if you didn't take a mulligan, is 32.5%. So it's actually a 13% increase on that. Now, if we were to do the mulligan math on that also, hold on there, everyone. It's Editing Room Dan here. And what I just spared you from was some really, really bad math. When we sat down to record this, I had not done the math on mulligans exactly. I just didn't factor that in, but then we decided with this new base without a mulligan, it made sense to talk about it a little bit. And in the heat of the moment, the true heat of podcasting, I just made it up. I thought I knew what I was talking about. I did not know what I was talking about. So I've gone and corrected my math. I've got everything written down here. And as you listen to the rest of this podcast, you may hear me interjecting. It might sound a little different. I'm going to interject the correct number in anytime I talk about something. Hopefully this won't get too messy. But what you should be listening to is all the correct numbers. I just wanted you guys to know that's the reason it might sound a little weird. It might sound a little wonky. It's because I had to come in and fix my own awful math. But of course, if you find my numbers are incorrect, they're not what you're getting, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I would be happy to be corrected on anything I'm wrong about. I think we got it right, though. I think we got it figured out. For anyone curious, the way you actually do the math on mulligans is that you have to figure out the odds of not drawing any copies of the thing you're trying to draw across the 2 separate hands, and then basically get the inverse of that. That is your odds of across the 2 separate hands in either or both of the hands finding the one thing you want, is the inverse of the odds of not finding it. The way I started to do math, we don't need to talk about it. It's not good, but that is correct. That's the way to actually calculate the mulligan math. Those numbers will be inserted in here. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the podcast. So that puts our math of doing that on a mulligan on a 50-card base from 32.5% to 54.5%. So that's where this, and if that's correct, that's where you can kind of, statistically, you can statistically see the difference between these two is that on a non-mulligan hand, you have a higher chance of seeing the one card you want without mulliganing. Which is where we go back to saying, okay, so if you're trying to get an opener that just has a particular card in it, you want to take a mulligan base, right? But if you're trying to get this 45% on multiple cards, let's say you have multiple of this like best card in your deck, so you want to see Palpatine's return, you want to see Palpatine and stuff, and those, you're going to have those individual odds for each of those on 9 cards instead of having to throw away one that you saw in order to potentially redraw it along with the other ones on a mulligan. So I think that makes it fairly clear where you use this, right?
Yeah.
It's when you're looking for a very particular sequence of cards.
Yeah, you really just want this set of this Magic series of 6 cards to open with,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
just go from there.
And so you draw 9 and you filter it down to the 6 you need. The reason this was so strong in Magic doing the system was people would cheat on their land count a little bit. So they would instead of playing what you should play in their commander deck, like 40 cards, they would go, okay, since we're all doing this mulligan style, I can go all the way down to like 33 lands instead of 40. And then they would just draw way more cards and put back a bunch of non-land cards. And that is basically the exact same thing I'm saying, is that they wanted to start with 3 lands and then this other and some other stuff. So they would just dig deeper to make sure they found them every time. So yeah, I think that's the application for this. Jason, any decks that come to mind where you're thinking, okay, this one's going to make sense?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No, not because I don't think there are. I just none immediately come to my mind. Mainly because I'm not super either like combo oriented or anything like that in my deck building strategies. So for me, this base, like I said, that's why I was having trouble reconciling when to use this base.
Let me throw a couple out there then. I have a couple in mind. I think this is a base you can definitely use with if you can have a reanimator style strategy. Like I've already mentioned a couple times, but if you can make that work in the colors, I don't think we have that in set. I don't think you'll have that in set 4 with a yellow as your base.
Right.
Because there's no leader you can get that's going to make that make sense. Because currently you're pretty reliant on Palpatine's Return in green. And then I guess we're still waiting on good like force units really to reanimate. Like I've messed around with some green yellow Afra stuff, which is pretty close, but you really need a combination then of a leader that helps you kind of either discard or find ways to reanimate or something. And none of those really exist in green as a leader when your base is yellow.
Right.
So it's a little tricky right now, but that's an example of like a combo reliant on a particular set of cards you want to find. And then the other deck I think of is an upgrade heavy deck like the Mandalorian or something.
Okay, yeah, that would be very sweet.
Yeah, if your deck has a bunch of clunky opening cards where you like an upgrade focused deck is really one that is saying I need to combo 2 things together, unit upgrade.
Yeah, like Voltron style decks. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're being able to just dig and go, okay, here's my perfect opener. Here's my way to make sure I didn't only draw upgrades. I have some units. Or I did draw some upgrades for my units or whatever. That kind of thing is where I think Nabat Village is going to make a little more sense also.
Cool. That was a fun little mathy annoyance.
We're going to do more math. Don't worry.
We're going to do more math, but the math is a little bit easier here. For not so much easier, but a little more clean. Let's go to the Data Vault. Data Vault, 33 hit points on that bad boy. We're in command now. We're in green. And your minimum deck size is increased by 10 cards.
Yes. So this, a lot of people got real confused by, because there's definitely a lot of players out there who, subscribe to a pretty, and that's no problem with this, but it's a pretty casual philosophy of like, cards are good. I like good cards. I put as many good cards as I can in my deck.
That's a lot of people's first card game. So
yeah, and so they will run decks that are 70, 80, 90, 300 cards in them or whatever, because they put all the good cards in, and then, they want
to play with them.
So they were like, well, why do I get more health just for doing what I want to do, which is playing with more cards? Well, it's not good to play with more cards, usually, right? The point is that you are decreasing your chances, increasing your deck size, decreasing your chances of drawing the best cards in your deck. Because when we break it down, some number of cards in your deck are better than other ones in a higher percentage of situations. So you want to draw those ones as much as possible. It doesn't take a lot for me to prove this other than to point out to you that overwhelming barrage exists compared to other cards.
Yeah.
You want to draw overwhelming barrage more often than you want to draw a lot of other cards in your deck. So making it harder to draw overwhelming barrage, not a great thing. But how not great is it? And is the 3 health you get worth it? Okay, so this is where I did a lot of my initial math that I posted on X. So if you follow me on X, you actually could have gotten a little bit of a teaser as to what we're talking about here there as well. As we said, it's a just using our basic metric. I'm not going to talk about mulligan math anymore, but let's just talk just to compare things on the base level. 32.5% chance again of drawing that best card in your deck on a 50 card base. But when you go to Data Vault with a 60 card base, how much does 10 whole extra cards decrease your odds of drawing that best card? It turns out it is 5%, which is, it takes it from 32.5% down to about 27.5%. That means 1 in 20 games, instead of seeing the card, you didn't see it. Now that, to me, is a pretty small percentage change to get 3 health. Don't you think, Jason? Or what do you think?
I actually agree. It is a small change. However, when consistency is key, any number in the other direction is not ideal.
Yes. Yes. So the caveat is that we're talking, when I do the math thing, it's one particular metric of many.
Right.
Now, there are pros and cons to this, right? It's like, yeah, consistency is key. And yes, the old magic wisdom is you don't want to be drawing that extra card you put in as your 61st card when it was on top of the card you actually wanted to see in, to win the game, right?
Right.
So thin as possible is good. However, I'd like to point out again that Star Wars Unlimited is a game where we have the ability to resource anything.
Mm-hmm.
We have some fairly niche scenarios that come up. And when we draw our niche cards that are not useful, we put them in the resource area. And when we draw them and they are useful, they're sometimes game winning. You confiscate, like, wow, I was going to lose to that Darksaber unless I drew confiscate right there.
Yeah.
Having extra cards in your deck does give you room to potentially pad in some more answers to things. I mean, the game's card pool is growing. We're getting more and more good, removal cards, more powerful endgame units, more powerful turn 1 plays. It certainly is getting to the point where it's kind of tight and it's tough to cut cards out of your deck. And you can get those 10 extra cards. You can decrease your odds a little bit of drawing things and you get 3 extra health with it. It's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I actually think it's perfectly fine. I think it's a sweet base. It allows you to play those magical Christmas land cards, if you want to call them, or just that 51st and 52nd card. And you're like, well, now I legally am allowed to do it, and no one's allowed to look at me any differently now. No.
Except they look at your base and go, what are you thinking?
What are you thinking? No, I think it does allow a little bit of creativity in that X base. And I think today we actually got a leader that can kind of capitalize on that a little bit.
Yeah, good call. Let's talk about him.
Let's talk about it. I'll take it here because I never have ideas ever, so it's kind of fun to have one for once. I think this will pair really well if you want to play Admiral Trench. As a sidebar, Admiral Trench was spoiled today, and boy, were the reactions polarizing.
Yeah.
I think people forgot to read the bottom text. Memes where it's like bottom text. In this instance, they forgot to read the bottom text of the card. It does not say epic action. It just says action. To have almost a ready 4/5 every turn you're able to ready this card at the cost of self-mill and drawing an extra card, even though it's, we're not to get too big into that ability.
Cost of drawing a card.
Cost of a card. Well, and milling yourself 3.
But your opponent gets to put the good cards
away
in your discard.
So play only good cards.
Oh, interesting strategy.
Everybody, I just solved the meta. Yeah. Let's go to set 5. We'll figure it out from here. No, I think the idea of this zombie style leader where you always are going to have it and you're always going to have a ready unit, there's a lot of game to that. So it is at a steep cost of the mill. And that does add up. So why not shore yourself with split extra hit points and play 10 more cards? I think there is a game to that. And especially the fact that Cunning and Command are probably 2 of the weakest, worst entire colors in the whole game.
They're the best ones.
They are the best. So they obviously pair well together, and there are some really neat cards you could add in those scenarios to get to that extra new minimum of your deck, to just have this kind of always available option of a unit that they have to deal with, or I guess just take it. I think there's a really cool build in there somewhere. The other side of that is, we got the Soaring Vulture droids today. Why not jam 10 more of those suckers in your deck? And
I guess that's a strategy too.
Yeah, that's a strategy. But no, Trench got me really excited. I immediately thought about this base. As far as viability, that's to be seen. But I like that there was immediately an application in my mind, like, this is actually really sweet and something that I think is worth exploring.
Yeah, I mean, that just like protection against mill plus protection against aggro is like certainly there's a compelling thing there. And if you're going to play Trench, who I agree with Jason is an underrated leader, stacking your deck with a few more cards like that might actually be kind of helpful, because when you go against those blue, like Bosk blue decks or whatever, they're going to grind that game out. And you really don't want to be killing yourself. You want to be able to keep putting Trench out. Because otherwise, like Jason said, it will feel like a cost every time that you're losing 4 more cards out of your deck to flip them out. So, I think that was really smart. I didn't think about that at all. So I really appreciated you bringing that up, Jason.
Hey, thanks. Broken clock's right twice a day.
There you go.
Well,
all right.
Any other thoughts on the base? Anything else? Anything else you wanted to touch on? I think we did a pretty good job there.
Nah, let's just get to the math on the next base. This one's gonna be fun.
Let's round the bases. All right. We're hitting third base here. It's getting hot and heavy with the thermal oscillator. See how it went hot and heavy? Thermal oscillator.
That was
so good. Anyway,
oh my God, that's why I pay you, or don't pay you, but
totally, yeah, absolutely. We're now in aggression. We've got a 27 hit point base. It says if we went for 10 more cards, how about 5 less cards in your deck? Your deck size is reduced by 5 for your minimum deck.
Same thing happened with this base. There's a bunch of people like,
why would I want to do that?
Why would I want fewer of my good cards in my base and I lose health? When you have fewer cards in your deck, then you draw your good cards more often. You draw
the better cards.
But how much more often, Jason? Again, 32.5% is our baseline on a 50 card regular base. When you would decrease your deck size to 45 cards instead of 50, you are now drawing that best card in your deck in your opening hand 35.5% of the time. So it's an increase of only 3% compared to the decrease of 5% on the other end Data Vault gave us. So this is a pretty interesting proposition. It's a small percentage increase, but if you add that mulligan in, it gets pretty powerful. If you want to find that opener, 58.4% of the games now you're going to find it, including your mulligan. That's a lot, right? That's a lot of games to find that really good card that you want to start with every time. It's a pretty meaningful increase. I think there's a hidden bonus to Thermal Oscillator as well that occurred to me like literally yesterday, and I posted about it in the main deck Discord. But I was looking at Holdo because I'm really excited to make a Holdo deck because I like the character, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to find all the good resistance units. Like, how am I gonna this? I'm gonna be reaching here at the end. I'm gonna put some draft chaff in just to fill this out, and then I thought, wait a second, I want to play red already. What if I just take 5 cards out of my max deck size so I don't need to put those last draft chaff slots in? I can run fewer quantity of everything and still just run all the best cards. I'll find my set 2 Poe more often because I'm going to need that to win the game. I'll find my Bomber and BB-8 combo more often. I'll be able to like start with that stuff and get rolling on it. So I think if you're looking at trait themed decks like that, where they're just not quite there and you need to start reaching to fill it in, I think the Thermal Oscillator is a fantastic card to add in, because now you play more of the good stuff and less of the bad stuff to fill out your deck.
Yeah. It shores up your consistency, and it's allowing you to, and you kind of, that we were going to make the same point, is like the trait based strategies really could, that are struggling, like you said, to fill those last few slots, are just like, oh man, I really have to play this because I want to be able to draw, this trait based card for my ability or stuff like that. I don't want to have. I don't want to miss out on a free card, even though it's not a great card. I really like that it leans those out so you can kind of, play the best of those cards. And I think trait based strategies are really going to benefit from Thermal Oscillator for sure. And I was going to ask a kind of deck, but you already kind of let the cat out of the bag. You buried the lead, if you will.
I did. It's in the ground with the hatchet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think any trait-based strategy, and if you're looking to play aggression, take a look at this space and see what you can come up with. I think it would be worth exploring. Help you maybe, not play 46 through 50. That might be weighing your deck down a bit.
But just in general, right? Like, I think highly aggressive decks...
I immediately went to mono aggression.
Yeah.
I just think low to the ground. I'm playing my best of the best cards and just slamming. Because
when it comes down to it, you're doing a calculation within a completely like straight aggro deck.
Yeah.
You have one goal in mind. Mm-hmm. Every card needs to translate to the highest amount of immediate damage possible. Right.
Correct.
That's like,
I need the max thorough put on every single card.
So this lets you take, if you have 5 cards in your deck that instead of putting out, an average of like 4 damage each card, they're only putting out 3.5, or if you just go, cool, chuck them. Yeah. I don't want that anymore. I'm only going to draw the card equals 4 damage cards, and then boom, win the game.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a lot of sense too with that base.
Yeah. Sweet base, but we're going to take it home here. We're going to get the home plate here with another baseball analogy out of the way. We're going to go into command. We've got the Colossus. You draw 1 less card in your starting hand, but we've got 35 hit points here.
We do. Yeah. 35. Boy. That's a lot of health, but a 5-card opener, Jason.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I'm taking it.
Okay.
I'm cashing that check.
Well, let's talk about the math. So now when we're starting with a 5-card hand, now remember how good the 9 was? Remember how we're like, wow, you get a lot with the 9. 5-card opener, but you have a mulligan.
Yeah.
Okay. So 32.5 is our baseline. What happens to your probability of drawing that perfect card in your 5-card opener? It goes down to 27.5%, which is the exact same probability of drawing that perfect card in your 60-card deck with 33 health, with 2 less health. Okay. That's really interesting to me, how close those were, where one has extra health, but for that, again, that's only one metric. For that metric, they were basically identical.
Yeah.
Now, here's the hidden metric with this one and where you're going to find that cost. When you only have 5 cards in hand, your resourcing to win games has to be really tight.
Mm-hmm.
You have fewer options to put in the resource row every turn. You're not going to skip resourcing because that's not, at least not right away, not until way later in the game. Because that's going to be bad. So you're going to start with those 5 cards. You're going to still put 2 of them down. You're going to have 3 cards in your opener. Let's say you play something first turn. Now you're down to 2. Then you're going to draw 2 cards. And now you have to make your next resource off of a 4-card hand. That can be really, really tough to do. You're going to have 4 really good cards a lot of the time, and you're going to have to put better cards in certain matchups or in certain situations down than you normally have to. This brings back the guy, I already forgot the name of it, the delegate that I really like from set 3, the favorable delegate. On enter, draw a card, on death, discard a card, right? And I would play that in decks even without having ways to bounce it or whatever to ignore the on death, because for a chunk of the game, starting from turn 1, I have 1 extra card in my hand until this thing dies. And every time I play this thing, I felt like my resourcing became the easiest in the world.
Right.
Like, oh, that 1 extra card helped me find a holdout blaster. So I get to just put that in because I can smuggle it. That's perfect. When you're down a card, it's going to be tight, Jason. You still want to play this, though?
Yeah, I still want to play it because I am tired of all these decks beating me in like 3-4 turns, 5 turns. I need help.
Yeah.
No, the thing that I think people are when we're basing these metrics, I think something that's worth noting is the aspect of the base we're talking about.
Sure.
Blue having the extra hit point base has a lot of legs to it.
Yeah.
Blue, classically known in most of the decks as kind of the control color, right? Like the hard stop kind of, I'm going to be meanie face with my vigilances and stuff like that, right? So the aspect of this being the blue base, starting you with one less card, for me makes me feel like I'm more confident to play it, because I know if I can get to the midpoint of the game, even with one less card, and with the value that I'll start churning out from my removal, from my 2-for-1s and everything else, I need to get to the mid game.
Yeah.
I will take those extra hit points on a personal, on an anecdotal, on the way I play in those kind of matchups in blue, because I feel that extra buffer is going to matter. Like, even though it's only 2 hit points more than, the 33, this is that's a gulf of numbers. That's huge.
It is.
Yeah.
It is the surprise strike is no longer lethal, right?
Yeah, right.
And you're absolutely right. And I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, the aspect is critical here. Vigilance is an aspect that has access to cards like Dr. Pershing, whose exhaust deal a damage to something in order to draw a card. Or Queel has been seeing a lot of increased play since late set 2, mid set 3, where Queel's popping off, drawing cards like a madman, like a mad Ugnaught, because he's got the restore on him, and he's got the reveal the top card of your deck. If it matches your base, it matches, right? Off the top of my head, I suddenly forgot. But if it matches your base, I believe it is, you get to draw it. Yes, that's it. I remember it. So that those two are like have been providing ways for these decks to just draw, get a lot of value, where you can completely, very quickly overcome that starting hand problem to the point where it's no longer an issue, and then you just get all the benefit of having a 35 health base. But your deck's got to be right. And so, Jason, let me throw it to you then, since you had the thoughts. So what are the types of decks where you're thinking, I have to run Colossus?
For me, I'm playing whatever nasty double blue control build I could think of. I feel there's so much grindy and blue villainy that you can get out of this base and get yourself to a nice, comfy mid game where you're just out, just grinding them. And there's a plethora of leaders that, like, I'm almost kind of at a loss of who I would choose. But I know for a fact it would be in villainy. I'm playing this base in villainy. I think that you have a smorgasbord of just really powerful cards that are just super oppressive and super gross, that the aggro matchup does not allow you to get to that point comfortably a lot of the time. So having those 2 extra hit points to getting to that mid game at a comfortable point where you could start 2-for-1ing and grinding out extra value from your cards, with a comfortable buffer of enough hit points where you're not just dead out of nowhere, is a big deal. It cannot be overstated.
I think Blue Bosk is super happy
for sure
to have this. Bosk also having access to Deathmark, the bounty that is when they die, you get to draw 2. That's that one, right?
I think so. Let me look it up.
I mix up my Bosk bounties all the time too. That's it. Yes. I'm so good. I remembered. I'm so smart. But yeah, it's Bosk gets to do the first turn Deathmark that thing, and ping with Bosk, and it won't take long for them to get to cash that in, go up a card from where they started, and start to just recoup that advantage as quickly as they can. Blue Bosk wants so badly to have that extra health, because if they can just stave off that one extra turn, like you said, Jason, then they can just turn it around or get the game closed or something. So
let's see what other leaders I think would be pretty sweet.
I mean, you could do basic stuff like Iden,
obviously. Iden seems really sweet.
Maybe Kira's good with ECL, so I don't know.
Kira's good. Yeah, Kira, I don't think you take it away from ECL.
We have. I mean, we don't have to do villainy. You can do things like Yoda.
Oh yeah, that might be Yoda. Yoda was something I was literally about to say. That Yoda would be really sweet.
Yeah, because those 7-drop leaders really are just, they have trouble because the leader can't deploy in time to actually save the game against more fast decks. So that extra 5 health might be huge. Yoda also gives you some cool filtering, so you can take your 5-card hand and just kind of like, actually, I'm just going to make sure I draw the things I need now instead, which is, I mean, like, that's kind of cool. I think that's not bad at all.
Yeah, I also think you could play. Actually, I think Trench will be pretty sweet with this too, because again, he's got a loot effect on the front side of his card. So yeah, we're drawing one less card at the start of the game, but I could cash out my late game cards for maybe some early game gas.
Yeah. Again, filtering.
Yeah, again, I keep referencing the word looting, and like looting is the in just card terms from MTG in the past. It's like when I draw a card, I discard a card. That's just like the looting style effect. So referencing that's what he does. You just have to discard a cost of 3 or more. What is it? 6 or more?
Yeah, it's a discard of 3 or more to draw.
More. Right.
Yep. And if we're gonna stretch a little bit, because
all right, we're stretching.
He's never seen competitive play really, but set 1 Cassian is at least an example of the type of leader I'm looking at, where he's just got built-in card draw also. So you can be like, well, if something came together where that made any sense.
Are you going to try to make Padme work with this base? Is this the Padme base?
Oh man, maybe.
I mean, you can get cards.
I like Padme.
Yeah, I know you've been trying. Yeah. No, it's one of those cards where you were.
I wish. DDA from RNG Gaming. He's got a Padme build that's pretty sweet. So good for him.
Good for him. More power to the homie. All right. Yeah. Well, I think that is the basis of set number 4. Jump to Lightspeed.
Wow. I'm full of them
fire today.
Yeah.
I'm on fire.
But yeah, these are interesting, right? Like our final takeaway here. These are 4 really interesting bases. The math, I think, is surprisingly not that far off. I feel like it should be surprising, except you watch the community reaction to these things and they're like, how could this ever be worth it? I'm like, I'm pretty sure it is. Math wise, it's pretty reasonable to get the sort of percentage changes you're looking for off of the based on the amount of health you're gaining or losing from each one. I think they have pretty good applications across the board. I think we pointed out some good decks where you would actually consider all of these. There might be times like you have to rip ECL out of my cold dead hands to play Data Vault.
Absolutely.
Really? Yeah. I mean, like Trench, sure. Outside of that, I want ECL pretty badly.
I think that everyone's going to have to get a little uncomfortable to try to play new stuff.
Yeah.
Get a little uncomfy and play these bases. It's really exciting that we have these kind of. I mean, like I said, I didn't envision these bases, and at the very least, not this early in the game's lifespan. So don't be nervous to get away from your ECLs, your Tarkin Towns. Come on, there's other ones. They just made them. They're coming out.
Yeah. I mean, Tarkin Town's getting really good with the indirect damage deck too, though. There's that's the exciting things. There are a bunch of cool interactions with a bunch of the other bases as well, but these are going to be fun ones to try. I recommend you give them a shot. Don't be afraid of 10 extra cards or 5 fewer cards or 1 extra card in your opener or losing your mulligan, because the 9 cards is really strong. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good in the right deck if you have the good opportunity to try it out. So definitely give it a go. And let us know what kind of cool brews you guys are thinking about for these bases. The comment section doesn't only need to be about eggs. It can also be about bases.
You can talk about what we're talking about and eggs.
Exactly. And by the way, it's over easy or die for me.
Poached. Poached is good.
Ooh. I had recently when I went for Grand Archive, I had the best Eggs Benedict I've ever had in my life.
Well,
it was insane. It was crazy.
I also kind of like my eggs runny.
Yeah.
But
and your legs runny.
And my legs runny, just like we're gonna run. Because we're done today. I think that's it.
We're done.
It went a little bit longer than we thought. That. I think we had a lot of fun, but I think we got kind of into it with the VIP stuff and all of that. It took a little longer than we anticipated. That's okay, because you guys love listening to us because we love to talk. So I want to thank everybody for listening to Galactic Ambition, part of the Main Deck podcast family. We really love to be back doing this again. We'll be back in 2 weeks.
That's it. Bye, everyone.
No, not bye, everyone.
Oh,
No, you're supposed to affirm it. But yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks to talk about more Star Wars Unlimited as we slowly creep closer to jumping to Lightspeed. Everybody, take care of yourself. For Dan, have a great night. Take care, guys. Bye. See you later. Now you can tell everybody we're done.
Okay, we're done. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a good one. Take care. See you later.
Oh, it's the bird's back.
The bird's back.
The butterfly, or whatever it was.